Here is a country of great contrast.
Great civilization of antiquity.
A foreign country a step away.
All right, we're back. It's the Casa de Cavazos. Justin in Chicago, Nathan and Ada in Harlingen, Texas. Brother Jared producing from New York City, providing that Tejano connection to reality. How is it going? What's up? Nathan has returned from Florida. How was the trip?
It was great, except for my knee, which is about to explode. So I'm glad to be back and just relaxing.
So Ada's house call procedure did not hold.
I don't think that was going to help if my meniscus is torn.
To clarify, we're not sure that his meniscus is torn. That is his own self-diagnosis.
So what, you need to see like an orthopedic specialist?
Yes, I have an appointment on the 16th.
Are there any in the Valley?
Yes, of course.
Well, I don't know. We had that conversation about what specialists weren't in the Valley.
We're not that rural.
Yes, it's the same one that did my Liz Frank fracture surgery.
Were they the ones who told you that you would never play basketball again?
Yes. Or run.
And he completely trusts them still.
Well, maybe they'll be like, see, we told you so. Shouldn't have been playing basketball.
I will not disclose these details to him.
Well, speaking of basketball, we're just on an all basketball kick nowadays. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. We've got games every single night. A lot of really good games. We got some stinkers too, but mostly good ones. Like right now, we got some close games between the Bucks and the Pacers and between the Knicks and the Pistons. I don't currently have a screen in front of me, but do y'all have the game on over there?
Apparently, we do have the game on.
Multiview, both of them?
You allowed us to have the game on, so we do have a game on. Indy and Mill.
The most recent slate of games was really interesting, both in terms of having a really tight Rockets-Warriors game and totally opposite Cavaliers-Heat game. Which of those do you want to talk about first?
I mean, I was shocked by the Cleveland game. I literally looked at the screen and I was like, what the fuck? 70-28? It was really bad. So it was interesting in terms of how bad it was.
I think there was some stat that apparently the Heat hadn't lost 2 games in the playoffs by 30 points or more ever.
What?
It's consecutively.
So they're in disarray.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a mega blowing up of the team this summer.
Yeah, 55-point win.
What was it that let the game out of hand?
I don't know. Cleveland was just so good.
They didn't lose a single quarter. I mean, from the very beginning, they started off 43-17 in that first quarter. I assume they could have rested their guys a little bit more. I don't know if they took umbrage to Tyler Hero being like, we're not going out 4-0, that's for sure. And then Cleveland's like, are you sure about that?
Yeah, that was bad.
Talk about plus-minus numbers. Everyone, except for Darius Garland, who was out with a left toe injury, got to play for the Cavs.
Yeah. Tristan
Everyone
Thompson
had a positive plus-minus, the highest of which was Jarrett Allen, who had a plus 42.
Terrible. Well, at least the Golden State game was really good. Made up for the horribleness of the Heat game.
Yeah, that was a really interesting game. Jared was talking about in our text chat how it was really ugly in that first half.
Yeah. I thought even the end was ugly. There were like multiple air balls by Golden State there towards the end.
I feel like it's a testament to both those teams' defenses.
It was just a
I
weird
think
game.
they have a couple of people who have no qualms being nasty. I mean, like just having Draymond and Dylan Brooks head to head. It's just a recipe for SmackDown.
Then you had a clutch shooting by Van Vliet and Steph Curry making some plays, Jimmy Butler making some plays.
Yeah.
And it ends up with Jimmy Butler with his pelvic contusion, jumping up, skying, and getting that last rebound.
From Steven Adams.
He was really high. Did you see where his point of catching the ball was?
Was it like above the rim?
We'll have to look at the frame by frame.
Nathan, did you get to watch any of these games when you were traveling?
I didn't get to watch the Rockets game because I was really tired. I fell asleep. I think I watched maybe a couple of seconds. I was in and out of sleep. And I had a basketball game when the Heat game started, so I missed most of that as well.
Wait, side
Oh.
topic. How was your basketball game?
We dominated, and by we, I mean my team because I am not playing currently.
Oh, you didn't even go out there because your knee is so bad?
No, I was there. We won a 66-28.
Damn. Were you coaching him up,
I was giving waters on the bench and high fives.
waving the towel, getting real pumped for people?
Yeah, I think at one point it was like 43-8.
Wow. So basically, you're the Cavaliers.
So far.
So it was kind of like at the same time that the Heat game was going on, y'all were having a very similar game.
Yes, now that I think about it, very, very similar.
All right, let's go back in time. Start from the very beginning. Knicks Pistons.
Yeah. I listened to our predictions. I didn't get them all right. Although technically, Nick Pistons on Sunday should have gone differently because there was a foul on the Pistons at the end that was not called.
Yeah, very similar to the foul that was called on Jimmy on Monday's game.
Yeah. And then the Bucks had a terrible injury with Dame Lillard. So that was the reason, or part of the reason that they didn't really have a chance in that game.
Yeah, but they were not playing well against Indiana to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know how much better they could have been with Dame. They just don't have enough support defensively around Giannis to stop anyone with a team that's as much of an offensive powerhouse as Indiana is.
Also, a little recap, I was completely right about Ant in the Minnesota Lakers game. He was not going to be denied. He was not going to be punked by LeBron.
Hey,
He was literally revving himself up and fighting the whole game.
I was also right about that Lakers Timberwolves game in
Yeah.
saying that the refs would be involved and
Yeah.
Luka would show out,
Yeah.
but it still wasn't enough.
Well, they did miss one call, which on the 2-minute report said that Luka was fouled when he was tripped.
BS. That's just like political. That was not a foul.
Well, what would have been the result of that? Were they in the bonus then? Would they have gotten
Yes,
some
two
throws?
free throws. Which again, like doesn't win the game right there, but you're possibly up one, getting back on defense,
Mhm.
or tied. I don't really think he misses both in that scenario. But I went ahead and did something I used to do back in the day. I watched the entire press conference of that game to see if anybody would like break and be like it was a bad decision for the entire Laker lineup to play the second half, and nobody really broke. They acted like they could handle it, but Rui and Finney Smith kind of alluded to it being tough, but what were they going to do about it? So I think the Lakers made a big miscalculation with JJ Redick. I don't feel like Darvin Ham would have made a mistake like this. You don't play a 40-year-old guy for 46 minutes, 24 straight minutes. I don't buy that Gabe Vincent, who has been to the finals with the Miami Heat, could not go in there for a few minutes.
Mhm.
I don't buy that Jared Vanderbilt, who also played big minutes, decent minutes when they went on the Western Conference Finals run before, couldn't have given a few minutes. And I don't understand why you don't play Dalton Connect, who during the regular season had a 37-point game and the rookie record of 9 made threes. He can give you some minutes, so I don't understand what Redick is doing here.
Is it Redick or is it LeBron?
It's Redick.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Redick has some of those red wine tinted glasses from all those nights podcasting with LeBron. Maybe has an emotional bias to keeping him in the game for that long. I mean, LeBron does provide some energy and leadership on the court that they do seem to miss when he's not out there. But 46 minutes, you're right. It is too much. And the way that lineup plays against the Timberwolves, you're playing right into their hands by going small.
But wait. How much did he score in the second half?
He scored 5 points, and he had 0 in the fourth quarter on only, what was it? I think he only had 2 attempts. He only attempted 2 shots, which tells you that he wasn't ready. And nobody's really mentioning that shot he took with like 54 seconds. Like, he was not in any rhythm in that point of the game. He just figured, like, if I make this, we win the game. It was a desperation shot.
He had some decent defensive plays towards the end, although they were more like savvy rather than athleticism. But other than that, LeBron showed why he is no longer a $50 million a year player.
Yeah, they had some guys that were really crucial in that fourth quarter. I mean, of course, Ant, but Naz Reid was huge for them. You know, being that small ball 5 for them, like he can actually still rock with 5s if need be. DiVincenzo had some really good plays there at the end, even though he was kind of slumping at the beginning of the game. Randall came up huge. He has like the physicality that is great for challenging a body like LeBron.
Randall looked amazing.
Yeah.
He looked like he was worth trading for
Well,
Cat.
this is the first playoff series where he's actually been a decent player. It took like all these 4 games in when people are finally being like, oh, yeah, he's actually playing really well, because people are waiting for the bottom to fall out and be like, oh, this is the Randall we've seen who disappears in the playoffs. But I don't think it's going to happen here. Not with that.
You think Ant brought it out in him?
Did
That's
you
what
see that
people are talking about.
that press conference after Game 3?
I did not.
Where it was both Ant and Julius Randle, they were together, and Ant was like, like Julius, like he only shot like 9 times. I'm like, bro, you got to shoot more. Is everything okay with you? And then he comes out and shoots 22 times this game. So
He was super aggressive. Randall kept them in it.
I kind of feel like Ant's just filling out all these games. He's just picking and choosing his spots. And like he said in his presser, he was saying like he knew they were gassed and he seized that opportunity.
yeah,
And like I said before, people are not going to be scared of 40-year-old LeBron. They were like looking for the fight. Randall and Ant were looking for the fight with LeBron.
yeah.
What do you make of people now saying that Ant is better than Luka?
I mean, I feel like Ant needs some more playoff rounds to determine that. But it's possible he'll be better than Luka.
Yeah, I think defensively he's been better than Luka for a long time, and I think Luka's still better offensively.
I don't think he's better offensively. I think he's just a better playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
But superstars in this league have always been two-way guys, like the cream of the crop. So Ant's definitely ahead of him at this point.
Yeah, well, he has the athleticism, and Ant has made a lot better decisions this round in the playoffs than he has historically.
He kind of had the same moment that Tatum had. Remember when the Warriors beat the Celtics that year, and Tatum said like they were really tired by the time they got to the end, and that's what Ant said last year when they lost to the Mavericks. He ran out of gas. Like he went to this off season making sure that was not going to happen to him this year. You can see it because for all the talk about the Lakers playing 24 minutes, Edwards played all 24 minutes in that half. Now look at the difference. There was zero fatigue on his end.
He's in great shape.
And he's
Amazing
23 years
physical
old.
Specimen. And a lot of like great defensive effort from Jaden McDaniels, from DiVincenzo. Even some like solid defensive moments from Mike Conley blocking LeBron's shot.
Do you guys happen to know who drafted Jaden McDaniels?
I do not
I
know.
feel like with your tone, it makes me think it's the Lakers.
It was the Lakers.
So you're saying LeBron traded him away?
He was traded right away. He was never on the team. They drafted him that night and they traded him. I think he went to the Thunder first, and the Thunder traded him to the T-Wolves.
Yeah, I think the Thunder were just like, man, Jalen, and Jalen, this is too confusing. We can't keep this guy.
Yeah, but getting back to Redick, I kind of feel like this Connect thing doesn't really make sense for me. They totally broke his confidence when they traded him away. He was a pretty good piece when he was playing, and when he came back, they tried to put him back in, but I don't know what they did to break his confidence, and then they just decided that he wasn't going to play at all. And I kind of feel like that might have to do with Bronny. Like, they don't want to play this rookie when Bronny's there, which if that's the case, I mean, you're making a really bad decision anyway. They were so happy that Connect fell to them that they made it seem like other teams were stupid for not taking him. And here you are in the playoffs, needing to buy some minutes. You had a guy that was probably projected as a top 10 talent, and you can't get him on the floor for 2 minutes.
Yeah, how much did Connect actually play this year with Redick?
I mean, he was playing decent minutes up until he got traded.
Let's see, 19.2 minutes a game, 9.1 points a game, 2.8 boards, 0.8 assists this season, 37.6 from 3, 46.1 overall field goal percentage. All right, tell me, how many minutes has Dalton Connect played in this playoffs?
Probably like 2 in like losses.
He's played
What are the stats?
an average of 2 minutes,
What?
so he's played 4 minutes in 2 games.
That's crazy.
And there are 2 games he just didn't play in.
Yeah,
So
in the
far.
close games, he has not gone in.
Yeah, this is old school mentality for some of these guys. And when I don't know, they have some decent bench players. It's not like they can't have that depth, but they might run into the same problem. We'll talk about it with the Warriors-Rockets game too, that sometimes you have so many of these solid role players when your stars are off the court, who is generating the offense? who is the go-to guy for those shots? Who's the person who's going to get your offense going? When LeBron and Luka aren't on the floor, maybe it's Reeves.
Yeah, but I was right about this. He's looked very mediocre versus a good team. All this talk that he was a great third option, he just looks like a bench player, which is what I think he's been the whole time. But he's benefited from playing on the Lakers with with LeBron and AD, and now LeBron and Luka. Like, he gets these matchups that he would not get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the games, I don't know if it was Kevin Harlan, they were like amazed, like that Conley was locking him up. I'm like, he's not quick. He doesn't have a good handle. Like, his thing is that he is able to get into the paint and draw fouls. It's not that he's going to get by you or anything like that. So this whole narrative that he's a really good fringe all-star, like, he's not even close. And I think you're seeing it in this series where he's basically just been regulated to a three-point shooter.
Yeah. Do you think
It's
that
the
they
LeBron
can,
effect, sir.
you think they can close out on the next game in LA?
I mean, I'm sure they can, but I feel it's going to be in Minnesota.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes when you win a couple of those close games, you're in their head, and it might be easier to get that clincher.
Well, I don't think that Luka and LeBron are going to have that mental issue.
Well, watching that presser, they all looked pretty deflated. They did not sound very confident that they could come back.
Yeah. Also, they were physically exhausted
Yeah.
playing that high level of intensity against such an active Timberwolves team that actually has fresh legs because they actually have a bench that they can go to. Solid rotation guys. That's one of the things that I really like about Minnesota that makes me feel good about their chances to get to the Western Conference Finals is that their rotation seems comfortable. Like, they're not necessarily going through the entire roster just like banging their head against the wall trying to figure out who's going to get minutes. They know who their rotation guys are. They know what situations they're going to pull Gobert out and have Naz Reid play more minutes. They know they're going to have Alexander Walker and DiVincenzo and everyone else out there. It's not a question for them. I feel like that's one of the weird things about the Clippers. The Clippers have so many guys that would be solid rotation guys on any team, but there are so many of them that aren't getting minutes.
Yeah, well, that's what usually happens in the playoffs. I mean, they've made the right calls for the most part, but they blew that game one. And then, of course, you guys saw what happened on Saturday where, I mean, crazy ending, but those are the kind of things that happen when you fall down 20 points in the fourth quarter. It's going to take almost everything being perfect for you to finish it off. It was great that they came back watching as a fan, but at the same time, I already know how these kind of games go. Like, when you're down by that much, everything has to go your way because they don't have to make 10 shots. They got to make 1 or 2 plays and they'll still win the game, which is what ended up happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's why if you listen to me, I was like, I think they're going to lose the series because, like, they should have been up 3-0. And now you're 2-2 and the home court has returned to the Nuggets.
Yeah.
So
The only thing that's concerning for me with the Nuggets is the same thing as with the Lakers. Similar strategy with keeping all of the players on the court. All those guys played heavy minutes, but they were actually able to pull out the win. I really do feel like a big part of that comeback was not only the Clippers' defensive intensity and their execution down the stretch, it was the fact that the Nuggets were getting winded because their players were out there for so much of the game.
yeah, well, I think whoever wins tonight's game should win the series.
Yeah, we shall see.
But getting back to the Timberwolves, I think if they're able to close out this series, Golden State's not going to be any match for them either.
Well,
But when did OKC get Golden State?
OKC gets the winner of Nuggets Clippers.
Yeah, that's what's always confused me about the NBA bracket. That it's not the way that a lot of other brackets work, where it's just top seed against lowest seed for the entire playoffs. It's just like your track is kind of set.
Well, that's why everybody was like, "Oh, the Lakers can make a run. Like they draw the Timberwolves, then they get like the Warriors because people were thinking the Warriors are going to win, which it looks like they are now, and that's why they thought they can make a run."
well, I will say that Minnesota does have a chance of blowing it if they keep playing that stupid defense they played most of the game, the last game. If you keep on doing like these weak doubles and zones, you're at risk of Luka and LeBron killing you.
Well, I didn't watch much of the first half of that game. What kind of defense were they playing before the Lakers went to the Lasers lineup? Because it seems like in the pressure they were saying that in the third quarters when they switched to the blitzing and hedging.
It was weird. Like, they would double Luca. And then, like, basically let Luca pass out and get someone in open three or open someone else up. It was stupid.
Well, either way, I think Minnesota will get by Golden State easily. I think we're on a collision course for OKC Minnesota. I don't think we'd really be surprised if Minnesota came out of that matchup either.
I don't know. OKC is just as dominant as Cleveland is right now. I feel like only if there's injuries or if for some reason getting the sweep and having so much time off gets them off their game, but I don't think that's likely.
Well, I mean, OKC wasn't as dominant after the first two games. I feel that series would still be going if Morant hadn't got hurt. I don't think they blow game 3 if Morant's playing, and they still almost pulled out game 4 without Morant. So OKC was dominant the first two games, and they took their foot off the gas. I mean, they still got the sweep. They're still going to get the rest, but they definitely took their foot off the gas. Cleveland did not.
Yeah, so if the Lakers lose in the first round, do you feel like Nico Harrison will be vindicated?
I think he already has been.
What? Like, they're not going to be better without Luca, though.
We don't know that yet. I mean, they would have looked really good if they had Kyrie and AD.
So we're watching the Indiana-Milwaukee game right now.
Overtime.
Which is going to overtime
Oh.
somehow. And that reminds me of the Indiana Pacers and the Reggie Miller era. So I feel like I want Nathan now to tell us the story of how he got into the NBA.
I immediately remembered when we were growing up, and I'm pretty sure we were getting ready to go to church, and we were watching the game with our dad.
Sir, it's not the church, it's the Kingdom Hall.
Church. If I say Kingdom Hall, there'd be a lot of the audience that'll be like, "What is that?" So church. And I remember the Pacers fell down. I don't remember if it was 6 or 8 points, and my dad just got up like, "Oh, it's over, I'm done." So me being a kid, I was like, "Well, I still don't got to get ready. Let me watch this." And like Reggie Miller like makes this 3. He steals the inbounds and hits another 3, and like I yell like, "Oh, they tied it!" My dad comes out with like a face full of shaving cream, like, "What?" So it was like those kind of things that did it for me. And like at that point, Reggie Miller had been my favorite player for a while. I hated Michael Jordan growing up because he would always win.
Yeah. So how old do you think you were when you got into it? Because that game was 1995.
That was probably when I was more serious about it. I don't really remember being too enthused about it when I was younger. Yes, I would watch it, but like I actually cared about players was at that age.
I will say that Reggie Miller moment is what got a lot of people into the NBA that are around our age, because I did find in Layla's inheritance that there's a picture of Reggie Miller and like some writings from her dad about what happened during that game.
What?
Yeah,
Were the
like the
writings from
memorabilia.
when the game happened, or was it just like later in life, just wanted to reminisce and just write about it?
I think it was probably later, but also when he was still in high school.
Mm.
So that was a huge moment. That was like the pinnacle probably of playoff drama.
Yeah, but now Reggie gets to be part of playoff drama on the regular, right
Yeah.
next to Kevin Harlan.
Just stand there screaming at people,
Yeah,
being screamed at as well
by Kevin Harlan. The angry
by the
one.
players.
And wasn't it a few years later where he just went crazy in the fourth quarter and then just like put his hands around his own neck, signaling a choke sign to Spike Lee?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember when that was exactly.
He was in 95. That was one of the best fourth quarters I had seen. Like he couldn't miss anything.
That was playoffs as well.
That was also a playoff game.
Yeah,
NBA playoffs. I mean,
There's
is there
nothing like
anything
it.
better?
there's
But I
nothing
think they
like
were
it.
they were the only ones that had taken the Bulls, I think, to Game 7 at some point. That's when Reggie Miller hit a game winner. But somehow, like Jordan almost hit a game winner with like 0.6 seconds. Anyway, it was like, wow. I was like, man, this guy really still gonna beat him. I mean, they ultimately still beat him in the series, but it was like, wow, like that's how hard it was to beat Michael Jordan back then. Like he almost canned it after
Yeah.
that spectacular shot by Reggie.
Yeah, we were just annoyed because Jordan was blocking people from getting championships.
It's like Mahomes.
No,
Wow.
like he just no
Worse
it's
than
not the
Mahomes?
same. He never lost. He would win. Once the playoffs started, you're like, fuck, like he's gonna win the championship
It's
like every
over.
time.
Yeah, he was 6-0 in the finals, right? Jordan?
Yeah, and then they would never go to Game 7. That's why when Reggie finally forced Game 7, it was like, oh shit, they might finally lose, and they didn't.
Getting your hopes up, like, oh, finally. Then it's like, nope, Jordan denied.
Yeah, so people don't get about how dominant he was when they bring up LeBron. It's like, this guy wouldn't even go to Game 7s. It was already over. At best, you'd get to Game 6, but like I said, like, you weren't going to win Game 6.
They're also forgetting that Jordan didn't like create all these super teams to try to get championships. He just stayed on the Bulls.
Also remembering that the Bulls owner was a cheap bastard.
He had to depend on like Steve Kerr.
Well, apparently, isn't that why he like retired? Because they weren't going to bring everybody back? Not even because he actually was done?
Yeah, I'm not really sure of the full story. I wish he had never come back though. The Wizards era is not great.
Yeah, only LeBron fans care about that. I mean,
I'm not a LeBron fan though. I'm just saying, it like tarnished the legacy a little bit.
it didn't bother me. He still had some really good games. I remember when everybody said he was done because he had like a 6-point game and like a 4-point game. And he's like, oh, okay. He dropped like 40 and then 50 the next game.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
I-
get old. That
Also,
happens.
like, it was such a different era. Like, now the technology and, like, the nutrition advice and the training is so good. Like, you see all these players now, and you're like, whoa, how are they 37 and still so good?
Mhm.
Well, it's still only like one guy that's 37 that's still really good.
Steph?
Who?
Like Steph and LeBron, that's it. Everybody else falls off pretty fast.
Let me think about that.
I think Jokic could play that long.
Well, yeah, his game's not relying on athleticism. That's always a helpful thing.
We're blessed to have this sport. Well, speaking of Steph, I just want to briefly cover Rockets Warriors from last night. That was a tight game. We mentioned it very early in this pod, but we had to go back in time. We had to wind back the clock to talk about the Sunday games. But Monday night, we had our Rockets Warriors game that has put Golden State in the driver's seat for this first round matchup against the Rockets. Jimmy Butler showed out. It was a very competitive game. It got really tough and tight there, especially with Draymond getting his 5th foul in the third quarter. And that was the point at which Houston was able to take their biggest swing of the night. It was really interesting. Like, in your mind, like intellectually, you know how much Draymond means to that team. But just seeing it happen in real time, like, oh my God, they need to get Draymond out there. They have no answer.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Draymond's still huge defensively, but it's always the pros and cons with Draymond because he could also, like, start getting technical fouls. He could create a fight. He could start shooting horrible threes.
It was really the complete Draymond game. He did all of those.
But he was mostly positive while he was on the floor.
Yeah. Even offensively, his ability as a passer, knowing that offense, usually making the right decision. I mean, when they're really trying to deny the ball from Steph, him having the ball at the start of a possession is huge for them. It really lubes things up a bit and gets things moving.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a really good facilitator, still a great defender, and is pretty good about actually playing defense pretty clean. Like that last play, that was a clean defensive play there at the end.
Yeah. I was really surprised that last play turned out the way that it did, because there were a couple of possessions throughout the game where they set up a screen where they would do a switch where Şengün would end up being guarded by Gary Payton II, who's a great defender, but still much smaller than Şengün, and it was so easy for Şengün to get inside. They didn't even try to switch that. Şengün just decided to take Draymond one-on-one, so I wonder if there's a world where they would have tried to switch it, or if they had tried to switch it, if Kerr would have just have decided, like, hey, whatever you do, don't let that matchup happen on this last possession.
I just feel like the Rockets are right there, and the inexperience is costing them at every level at this point. Jalen Green was their leading scorer, and besides that 38-point outburst, has had, 3 games where he scored under 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can win that way. So he's really going to have to look at himself this summer and see what he has to do to improve. What team do you think can move on in the playoffs with their leading scorer averaging under 10 points a game?
No one.
I don't think there's one.
I mean, it's not even just the scoring potential of it all. It's the leadership. It's not having one guy who's going to say, this is getting out of hand. I got this. Van Vliet was the closest to that last night, but that's not consistent. And that's kind of a huge load to put on him.
Well, I think somebody was saying, I think on First Take I think it was Kendrick Perkins saying like, no, he's not surprised because Houston was actually like one of the worst offensive teams. So when I picked them, I said like, well, if they win, it'll be over like a 10-point spread. Because when it comes down to it in a close game, when y'all were talking about it, I was like, well, yeah, and of course, if it goes to close games, I'd probably pick the Warriors, but like it's really bad. They definitely can't just pick somebody to get a basket for them.
Yeah.
But also the fact that Steph Curry is on the other end and just playing like an all-time great and making like amazing shots when it's needed.
Yeah, he had a pedestrian game for him.
Yeah. But he still made some very crucial shots.
I think the Warriors will take it home. Ada brought up the point. I know you said that if the Warriors go against Minnesota, the Warriors won't really have a chance, but I'm starting to believe a little bit now, that this team looks a little bit like that 2022 team.
Definitely not. They're not going to. I think Ant is ready, and they have tons of length. Curry is really small, and they're quick enough to give him a really hard time. Butler won't be enough.
What we pointed out last time was the 2022 run was a situation where, yes, on paper, the other teams were way too good, and somehow the Golden State just powered through. They willed it. So that's the only chance for Golden State. They have to have that kind of situation where they somehow grind through and somehow make up for all the disadvantages they have.
I feel like the Warriors will end up playing 6 guys against the Timberwolves, though, and you're going to have a ton of fatigue.
I'm not saying I'm picking the Warriors. We're just saying that it's possible they could have like a crazy run like that.
Unless somebody gets injured, I feel like the Timberwolves will play post off. They'll play Moody off the floor. Kuminga can't be trusted right now. So where's your bench here against the Timberwolves that you can trust?
Yeah. I mean, on paper, yeah, it looks bad for Golden State.
No, not on paper. On the floor.
On the floor and on paper, it looks bad. Just like it looked really bad for them against Boston in 2022.
It was really bad. Boston lost due to inexperience. Boston was the better team.
Well, I guess it could be possible that somehow Minnesota is still inexperienced and Golden State outpoises them. Who knows? We'll never know until it happens.
I'm calling it right now. That's 100% slam dunk. If Minnesota finishes the Lakers, they will beat the Warriors in 6 or less.
So you think Minnesota's going to the conference finals for sure?
If they get out of the first round, they're going to the conference finals.
So you're not willing to put down a guarantee for the first round for Minnesota yet?
I am not giving them the guarantee yet for the first round, but I'm saying like that's a terrible matchup for Golden State. The good matchup for Golden State is getting the Lakers.
Okay, I am guaranteeing that Minnesota's going to win the series. LeBron's out in the first round, baby.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We got what hopefully should be some clarity this week with the games ahead. I can't wait for the Clippers-Nuggets game. Just kind of seeing how LA responds to just having their heart ripped out Mortal Kombat style by Aaron Gordon at the end
I
of
wish
that last game.
these games would be a little bit earlier. I'm going to have to stay up late again to watch this game.
I don't think they had their hearts ripped out. Kawhi was really proud of the effort. Just didn't go their way. I'm pretty sure they'll be ready. Whether that results in a win remains to be seen.
All right, I want to talk about the 100 days because that's huge. We got to talk about it.
All right.
All right, you got 30 seconds.
Somehow we've had 100 days of Trump already.
What do you mean
And
somehow?
It feels like it's been a year. It's like weird how it feels unnaturally long, longer than 100 days. So much has happened. So many bad things. You can't even really think of all of them off the top of your head because there's so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's also been so bad that it led to the Liberal Party killing in Canada yesterday. Apparently they were down 20 plus points. And then once Trump started doing his thing, somehow the Liberal Party came back in the polls because they basically realized that the right-wing thing wasn't going to work and they needed someone who was going to fight Trump.
Yeah. There was that interview on CNN with a Canadian voter, that old lady who was just like, we just want someone who can stand up to Donald Trump, who is honestly kind of an asshole.
She's like, I'm sorry to say it, but he's kind of an asshole. I mean, let's just think about all the things that have already gone wrong. I mean, weaponization by the DOJ, extreme anti-DEI efforts, deportations, to El Salvador without due process, weaponizing the office to the point that you're basically making law firms bow down to you and give you free pro bono services, and then also say that they're anti-DEI, or basically making them not practice DEI policies at all. Fighting against universities, trying to make universities bow down as well, freezing funding. What else? Fighting against states, trying to freeze their funding, Maine specifically because of transgender sports. What else can you think of? There's so much. It's like every other day.
Yeah.
Well, on the weekends, we're kind of off. It's nice that Donald Trump doesn't want to work on the weekends. That makes me kind of relax on the weekends.
Oh man, sorry to interrupt you, but the Pacers just officially won that game in overtime.
Did they?
119, 118.
What? We still have 10 seconds. You blew it.
Somehow ours is behind.
I'm just watching the ESPN Gamecast. No,
man.
watch. I want you to live react to what happens.
Oh, is it going to be amazing?
She already missed. Indiana has the ball already.
Oh, Indiana's going to do something. Okay.
Wait, what's the score for you?
117 mil.
Okay.
That easily?
Oh my God. What the heck? Giannis didn't stop that, or at least foul?
They were up 6 with like 45 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be an interesting summer for Milwaukee.
Yep. That's how that goes. Wasted an awesome game from Giannis. Awesome game.
Okay, back to the horribleness of the 100 days.
Yeah.
What else?
I mean, it was like a 30, 20, 10
Dismantling.
triple-double. So I just want to say that.
Yeah. Dismantling USA, dismantling like everything possible.
Yeah, measles outbreak.
Oh, yeah.
Tariffs.
Every other day
Prices
also, or
increasing.
sometimes every day, you hear about some other department or some other agency that is going to be cut in some way. Especially like science-related things, medicine-related things. That's bad.
Yeah. They're not really saving that much money by cutting all of this. Sure, like it amounts to like some millions of dollars, but they're only tiny fractions of the overall budget. That's
Yeah.
mostly spent on things like defense.
Yeah. Well, the big cuts need to be made to Medicaid, Medicare, defense, like you said, if you really want to make cuts. But you really can't cut some of those things, hypothetically.
Yeah. It's
Although there are rumors that they're going to try to cut Medicaid.
I feel like all this stuff where it was like conjecture and we don't know if they're going to do that, it's probably going to happen.
Well, the whole 100 days has basically proven that everything Democrats were saying was right, basically. That ended up being right.
Well, I mean, they did read Project 2025, so the playbook was out there.
Yeah, but Trump said, I don't know what that is. I've never read that. Well, first of all, we know you don't read.
Well, Myra Flores also claimed she did not know what that was.
Okay, well, she's also not a reader. I need to be more diplomatic.
Dare I say illiterate?
I'm not sure that she's illiterate. I don't want to go that far. I mean, she did post recently that they are the party that upholds the Constitution. So it's very questionable as far as whether or not you know how to read the Constitution or any academic type papers.
Yeah, just like already there are a bunch of affronts to the First Amendment in the Constitution that are happening. There are a bunch of affronts to the balance of power, just completely ignoring rulings from the judiciary.
Well, also, they're very much on board now with, like, let's impeach the judges. These judges should go because they are not doing what we want. It's like, what? That's literally separation of powers. That's government 101. You can't say, oh, we need to impeach them because they're not doing what we want in the executive branch. That shows, like, no understanding of the Constitution.
I mean, if you're conservative, things are going exactly as planned. Everything's great. Our temporary suffering has begun, which will result in a stronger America for our children.
All right, sir, that is a lie. It is a lie if they want to try to claim that everything's going exactly as planned, because Donald Trump had said that prices were going to go down immediately. Energy prices were going to go down 50% within 1 year. We're not on track for that. And he also said he was going to get a resolution of the Ukraine-Russia war in 1 day.
Well, all the conservatives that I see online are saying that things have been cheaper, especially gas,
I mean, maybe gas.
but other things as well. Cheap eggs.
I mean, those are only two things.
Eggs
Well,
aren't
they
cheap. Eggs are not
didn't-
cheap right now.
Well,
They're-
that's
they're-
what they claim.
They're still more expensive than they were when those prices first started going up.
Look, that's Joe Biden's fault. Come on.
So, how temporary is the suffering? Is there a timeline for when the suffering is supposed to end?
No, the timeline is when they get all the manufacturing back over here, which anybody that's actually following this says will take 10 to 20 years. So unless you're counting 10 years as short-term suffering, I don't know, because they make it seem like it's going to be a few months only and everything's going to be perfect again.
Okay, I just want to say that there are some people that are so extreme MAGA, they don't even care. They don't care if everything went to crap as long as you don't have transgender ideology and things like that.
That's like the most
Wokeness.
That's like the most hateful thing possible. Like you're like, I don't care if I'm like losing an arm and a leg. I don't care if all of my children die. As long as there are no trans people, I'm good. Like that's
Isn't that
how-
isn't that the whole thing with like for example, the thought process when people had pools that they had to share with African American people and they would rather drain the pool than even enjoy the pool?
yeah. Yeah.
Like they'd rather hate on a certain group of people to that extent than have everything good around them. So I also want to point out that they've gone back to the transgender topic because some of them are being honest with themselves and realizing that the prices aren't going down and that things aren't looking great economically. So then they start posting, oh, transgender people in sports. That's the issue.
I think you're wrong there. I don't think they ever left that topic. It's been consistent.
Well,
Why
it's
is that even the topic, though?
It's a smoke signal. It's a distraction.
Yeah. I'm just going to say what I said before. Someone argued with me about transgender sports, and I basically didn't really engage because I felt that it's a complex issue and there should be nuance to it and you should look at the data. And it's exaggerated how many transgender women are playing.
Yeah, and you didn't even bring that up in that conversation.
I did not bring it up. They brought it up like, oh, you better not be a Democrat that dies on the hill of transgender sports.
And again, for our listeners, to be clear, we're talking about 0.00002% of athletes at the college level that are transgender.
Yeah. Yeah. So people want to argue with me about that. I'm not going to fall for hating on transgender people. I'm just not. Like, I'm a doctor, I'm a mother. I can understand that there are real concerns by transgender people as far as sports and wanting to participate in sports and wanting to feel part of a community. So I'm not going to like dunk on transgender people just because people want me to basically erase them. But yeah, somehow the transgender issue continues to come up. And a lot of times these people really don't have the data. They don't have the nuance. They don't even really think about an actual person.
Yeah.
It's like this faceless, person that they are considering a scapegoat.
It's the new satanic panic. That's what I said a couple weeks ago.
The thing too, though, is if supposedly you're worried about fairness in women's sports, why in Texas are transgender boys not allowed to play either? Like, what would the data be behind that?
Hateful.
Because it's never been about competitive advantage or disadvantage. They're finally able to say what they've wanted to say, whether it's about gays, lesbians, but you can't say anything about them, but they can say whatever they want about transgender. So that's what they've latched onto.
Yeah. I mean, this is only the first 100 days of the first year.
It's
There's a lot
only
of
100
stuff.
days. That's how horrible it is, sir.
There's a lot of stuff that, you know, even if they're focusing on a couple of singular issues, and they've kind of gone at the throat of some things that should be freedoms.
Yeah.
Just saying blanket that something like DEI is illegal, which it is not. They just are trying to will it into being illegal by saying it over and over again without people having the understanding of what DEI actually is.
It's also pure racism to some extent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different policies that are involved, but for example, when it comes to affirmative action, there's a real basis behind that. And so now colleges are literally trying to figure out what to do. Amherst is trying to figure it out because their diversity has gone down. And then they said, well, we're afraid to be sued. So we don't know how to kind of work around it. We're trying to look for maybe people in the Rio Grande Valley specifically. They actually travel down here. Maybe who are low income or first generation college students to try to get around it. But then they're still scared that they could get sued somehow.
Yeah. Well, that's the slippery slope. That's what
Yep.
all of this ends up leading to. And like I said, this is just the beginning. This is just the start of all of these actions. I mean, they're going to try to undo a whole lot of stuff. I mean, all of their actions undid protections for a woman's right to choose, overturning Roe v. Wade in the Supreme Court. There are rumblings about trying to go after gay marriage. There are rumblings of trying to persecute the press. You know, we might not have a free press.
Well, it's not
In
just
3 years.
rumblings of persecuting the press. I think they're trying real hard to persecute them already.
Yeah, I'm just saying we might not have a free press in 3 years.
Well, I mean, if you follow Project 2025, you would already know this. The goal is to make the male the head of the household again, to implement policies where the women can stay home and do childcare again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this DEI is also trying to take that away as well, which Ada had talked about.
Yeah.
It's not just going to hurt race. It's going to hurt women from getting certain positions.
Yeah. I just want to say something to any of the men who are listening to this podcast who are on the fence about any of this shit. Like, if you believe Charlie Kirk, you are a tiny, tiny, insecure little fuck. All right? You have no balls.
And that brings me to Charlie Kirk
Yeah.
anyway, where he posted about how now it's been released that the pilot for that crash, was it in Washington?
Yeah.
Yes.
Was a woman. And of course, lots of men were like, oh, well, this is what happens when you implement DEI. Like, you don't have the most qualified person. So
Yeah.
you see, it's like not even about race for them.
Yeah.
Like, it's about this whole idea that white men feel like they're the ones that have been persecuted. And now you're
Yeah.
seeing like what's happening because of it.
If
It's
you-
not just that black people are getting jobs.
Yeah.
Also women, which are also unqualified, are getting jobs.
Yeah, and she was a cis white woman.
If
So
you
just
think-
FYI.
Yeah. If you think that Charlie Kirk is some awesome guy and you follow him, you suck. You should not be surprised that women don't want to fuck you. Okay? That's it. Like, if a woman found out that about you, you're not long for that relationship.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah,
want to
being
move
at the
forward
highest
as a
level-
society, and if you don't give mutual respect to people who are different than you, then you are the weakest person in the bunch.
Yeah.
You suck.
And being at the highest level myself in my field in medicine, I can tell you for sure that women do not make more mistakes than men.
Yeah,
And-
you just have to watch Anchorman. You'd already know this. When Danny Trejo tells Ron Burgundy, ladies can do stuff now. You're just going to have to accept that.
There's great women and men in medicine, but now there are some studies showing that in general, women are actually better doctors.
Yeah, I mean, like, women and people of color, you're put under far more of a microscope because of these biases, and that's why you have to be so excellent to overcome things. And that's
Yeah.
the whole point of DEI, is getting those excellent people in front of the people that they need to see, because the overwhelming amount of bias is going to keep them out of the room more often than not. That's the
Yeah.
whole fucking point of it.
I mean, it does sound like she made mistakes, that helicopter pilot, but the co-pilot could have taken over, which he didn't. And that wasn't the only factor. They also mentioned that air traffic control was a factor.
Yeah.
They were understaffed. There were things that probably should have been done differently as well by air traffic control.
Well, apparently there have been many near misses anyway.
Yeah.
So it was eventually going to happen.
Understaffing is a ubiquitous problem in the country. I can't say the world, I guess, but I imagine in the world there's understaffing as well. And it happens in medicine, it happens in the ER, it happens in nursing homes. Understaffing does kill.
Yeah.
And it's likely a factor that they were supposed to have 2 air traffic controllers and they only had 1.
Yeah. Politicizing a tragedy, I don't know, using it to get onto a misogynistic soapbox, that's weak.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
weak. We
ultimately,
deserve better. We deserve better.
Ultimately,
Slamming my
what
hand on
would
the table right
happen-
now.
Ultimately, what would happen if we really got to the point that women couldn't do anything? They basically needed the permission of their husband. They couldn't get certain jobs. You'd basically have the effect that you had when people left Europe to come to America. You'd have people leave America for a better country. So if that's what you want to do, if you want a brain drain, you can do it.
Yeah. That's what Europe needs right now.
Women, American women.
American women.
There are a lot of countries who want educated and skilled people.
Yeah.
They're recruiting in Canada, they're recruiting in New Zealand, they're recruiting in Australia. There are a lot of places that would want women who are educated and skilled.
Yeah. And at the same time, a lot of the stuff that the current administration is doing is kind of creating this power vacuum that's going to allow people to rely on China. Like, did you see about how like South Korea, Japan, and China actually got together to talk about some kinds of trade alliance so they can start working together? Those
Yeah.
countries have historically really, really hated each other.
But isn't that basically what we predicted before? If the US is going to be like this and be isolationist, then people are just going to figure out a world without us.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be good for us, and that's not going to be cheaper for us.
Trump's talking to Zelensky about the cards, but I don't think we got the cards. Kind of seems like we don't. We're just like, it's a powerful country with a lot of money, but we don't own a lot of physical goods. We have a lot of land.
Also, aren't there over 8 billion people in the world? And we've only got, what, like 300 some million?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the world very much dominates us in terms of population as well.
Yeah.
Typical overplaying his hand. I mean, just in like a normal scenario, like if you present these options to a person and you say you're the only option, and if they don't do what you say, like you're going to take things away, they're just going to leave. They're going to find
Yeah.
somebody else.
This sounds like an actual abusive relationship.
And that's the way it is. I mean, like they're talking about like, oh, well, like we're going to like make everybody else feel pain. But at the end of the day, it's like anything else. If you're in a bad relationship, that person is telling you like, oh, well, like I'm the best thing that you got. Nobody else is going to do things for you. But when you leave, or these people leave, they'll find the same thing. It's like, there's so many other options. Like you're never the only option.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we can find a better option for a better country if you want to trash this country and make it a white Christian nationalist country.
Well, that's the plan, and they got to do it fast within the first 2 years, because if they don't win the midterms, then the amount of stuff he can actually implement goes way down.
Yeah.
Unless they get involved with the elections in a way that keeps legal citizens from voting.
Again, he doesn't have the cards because we'll just start leaving. If it gets that bad, we'll just start leaving, and then you can have this mess of a country that falls into idiocracy where doctors are leaving, the PhDs are leaving, all the amazing scientists are leaving.
Yeah. Medical research is shuttered.
Yep.
Yeah, but in that scenario, you also have to hope that these countries are willing to take lots of Americans, not just the ones that are highly skilled, because even the people that are just the average Joe needs to be able to leave this country.
I think they will be. I think that there are so many countries that are going to have open arms. And I think a lot of countries are actually more compassionate than we are.
Yeah. With arms wide open.
With arms wide open.
Under the sunlight. With that, I think that about calls it for this version of the podcast. Thanks for listening. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, rate it 5 stars on all of the platforms. Keep on telling those friends of yours. We hope you have friends. We hope you aren't just establishing a parasocial relationship with us. You know, keep on talking to your neighbors. Talk to other people who are not like you. Go outside. Go touch grass, as the kids say.
Hey, if people want to be my friend for real, they can just reach out. I am open to friendship.
No, that's not true.
Oh,
That's not
we're
true.
well- we're
This
well
is like the
aware of
person
that.
like in the neighborhoods. Someone came, was like, "Oh, like you're new to the neighborhood. Here's some cookies." Ada's like, "Why are you talking to me?"
That is too awkward for me. But if you want to like call me or text me, that's different.
How's that?
Yes, and we're aware that anybody could call or text.
Yeah, all the platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Amazon Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We have our RSS feed up on casadecavazos.com, as well as a submission form to the mailbag for casadecavazospod@gmail.com. You can reach out to us, follow us on Blue Sky, and maybe we'll keep the conversation going. We'll see you later.
All right. Until next time.
Bye.
Mexican people are in some